A committee consists of 6 members, A, B, C, D, E, and F. A has veto power, B, C, D, and E each have 1 vote. F is a non-voting member. For a motion to pass, it must have the support of A, plus at least 2 additional voting members. So there's the key phrase. You must have A plus 2 additional voting members. Remember that F is a nobody in this problem because F is a non-voting member. So just forget about F. F's a dummy. So, okay, they want us to find the Bonshoff power distribution of this weighted voting system. Give each player's power as a fraction or decimal. So we got to do the full-blown Bonshoff power. We got to find out what percentage of the power does A have, B have, C have, etc. So how do we do Bonshoff power? Step number 1. We have to list all winning coalitions. So list all the winning coalitions. So, how do we get a winning team? Well, again, you got to have A plus 2 additional voting members. Let me right now just say forget about F. I'm just going to not even bring F into the problem, right? F has nothing to do with passing a vote. He's a non-voting member. So just pretend F isn't even there. Who cares about him? Just A, B, C, D, and E. Let me just write that up here. A, B, C, D, and E is all I'm looking at. They're the only ones that affect anything. All right, so let's start with 3 players. I'm not starting with 2 players because there's no way 2 players can be a winning team, right? I'm just listing the winning teams, the winning coalitions. 2 players can't win. It takes A plus 2 others, takes 3. So the smallest team that can win anything is a 3-player team. And they've got to have A plus 2 others, right? So you got to have A and then 2 others. So every one of these teams is going to have A and then 2 others. So just go through a systematic way of listing all the other possibilities. Let me start with B. B and C, B and D, B and E. And now, so that's all the ones that start off with B. Now let me, after A, let me go C, D, and C, E. C, D, and C, E. We're starting with A. So there's all the ABs. There's all the ACs. If you start AC. And then finally, so there's the ABs, the ACs, and then the ADs. See, I'm going down the line. I did all the ABs and finished with C, D, or E. And then I did all the ACs, D and E. You never have to go, you might think, well, you didn't go back ACB. That's already right here. So you never have to go backwards using this system. See how I'm using a system to make sure I don't miss anything? So I started with A, because you have to have A. And then from B, I went BC, BD, BE. It's all right here, BC, BD, BE. And then I went AC, and then so these are the ABs. Then I started with AC. And if you start with AC, you got to end with D or E. So there's all the ABs, the ACs, and now AD. So if you start AD, all you got left is E. Again, because we don't go back. I don't go like ADB or something, because that's already right there, isn't it? See that? So there's all the 3-player teams. See how I used a system to make sure I got every 3-player team that's a winner. Now let's go to the 4-player teams. 4 players. If you have 4 players, again, you've got to have A. So every one of these teams has to have A. That's what they said. You got to have A plus at least 2 others, 2 or more. So now we're going to list all the 4-player teams that are winners. If you're going to do 4 players, you got to have A, so that means you got to have 3 of these players, don't you? Because you have A as your first player, and you're going to have 4 players total, so A and 3 others. So who would the 3 others be? Well, if we're going to use 3 others out of these 4, that means we're going to leave 1 person out. So let's just do that systematically so we don't miss anything. So let's just leave them out one at a time. Let's leave out E. That would be B, C, D. And then let's leave out D. That would be B, C, E. And then let's leave out C. That'd be B, D, E. And then let's leave out B. That'd be A, C, D, E. And that's it. See how I used a system? So this is no E, no D, no C, no B. So I used a system to make sure I didn't miss any. I just left one at a time out. You got to do these with a system, because if you miss even one, it'll throw the whole answer off. So you got to be systematic. That's an important skill that a college level math class is aimed at teaching you, because there's things in life where you have to be organized and systematic, and college level math classes is promoting that for you. All right, now finally 5 players. So we've listed all the winning teams with 3 players, 4 players, now finally 5 players. Well, if you're going to have a winning team, right, this is all about all winning coalitions, all winning teams. So if you're going to have a 5-player winning team, that's just going to be all 5 players, isn't it? A, B, C, D, E. Again, we don't care about F. F's a nobody, is a non-voting member. Yeah, you just got to have all 5 players, and that's a winning team. All right, that's the most important step. Step 1, list all the winning coalitions. Now, step 2, underline all critical players. So all critical players. Now, what does it mean to be critical? Really important that you understand this. If you drop out, then the team loses. So that's what it means to be critical. If you drop out, then the team loses without you. So, okay, let's try that out. Let's see who's critical. So critical means if you drop out, the team loses without you. So let's go through each of these teams one at a time. We're going to underline everybody that's critical. So is A critical on this team? If A drops out, does that team lose without him? Well, yeah, because you got to have A and 2 others, and they wouldn't have A. So A is critical. Underline him. B, is B critical on this team? Yeah. If B drops out, they've only got AC. You're supposed to have A and 2 others. Likewise, C is critical. Do you see that all these are going to be critical, aren't they? Because if any one of these drops out, they're not going to have A and 2 others any longer. They're going to become a losing team. So they can't, all those players are critical. On those teams, all those players are critical. They've got to have them. If any one of those guys drops out, those become losing teams. So those players are critical on those teams. Now let's go to these. So all the 3-player teams, everybody's critical. Let's go to the 4-player teams. What if A drops out of this team? Do they lose without A? Well, what do they have left? B, C, and D. Does that become a losing team? Yes. Because remember, you got to have A. Remember the rules. You got to have A and 2 others. So if A drops out, they become a losing team. So A is absolutely critical. They've got to have A. A is critical. If A drops out, they lose. So they've got to have A. How about if B drops out? What do they got left? A, C, and D. They're still okay, right? They've got A and 2 others, so B is not critical. If B drops out, doesn't matter. They're still okay. How about C? If C drops out, just C, it's just one at a time, right? Just C. If C drops out, they still have A, B, D. They're okay. Doesn't matter. They're still a winner. They still got A and 2 others. C's not critical. He can drop out. It doesn't change the outcome. How about D? If D drops out, they're okay. They still got A and 2 others, A, B, C. So D's not critical either. If he drops out, it's okay, right? Remember, critical means if you drop out, then the team loses. So D's not critical. So only A on that team. Likewise, only A on this team, only A here, only A here. On all the 4-player teams, only A is going to be critical. If A drops out, yeah, they lose because they got to have A and 2 others. But if any of the other players drops out, it doesn't matter. Doesn't affect, they're still okay. They're not critical. Only A is critical on those teams. Over here with the 5-player team, it's the same deal. If A drops out, yeah, they lose because they've got to have A and 2 others. But if any of the others, like if B drops out, doesn't matter. They got A and 3 others still. They're fine. So B's not critical, C's not critical, D and E are not critical. Only A is critical on that team. Only A, right? Critical means if you drop out, then the team loses. So I've underlined all the critical players on all the different teams. Now let's go to finish this thing up. Number 3, let's find the total of all critical players. So how many total times are there where people are critical? This is 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. 3 times 6, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23, right? There's 9, and 9 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 23 times people are critical. So what's the power then for player A? Well, out of 23, how many times is A critical? Let's see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. A is critical 11 times out of 23. How about B out of 23 times? What part of the time is B critical? B, B, B. 3 B's, and that's it. Those are the only 3 times that B is underlined and critical. So only 3 times for B. C out of 23. How many times is C underlined? Once, twice, 3 times. Those 3, C is critical. 3 times, only 3 times again. And how about D? How many out of 23 times is D critical? D is critical here, here, and here. 3 times out of 23. And finally, E, player E. Whoops, getting a little scribbly there. Out of 23, how many times is E critical? 1, 2, 3. Same thing, huh? So that makes sense. Those are all the same, aren't they? B, C, D, and E's roles are all the same. Let's double check. If you add these up, it's good to double check. If you add those up, 11 and 3, 3, 3, 3, you're going to get 23 out of 23. So we know we didn't miss any. That's all the critical power. So there we go. Just type in those fractions. You can make them, you can just type them in as fractions. It's good enough. There's the portion of power, the Bonshoff power that player A has 11/23. It's almost half the power. B, C, D, and E each have 3/23 of the power in this situation. So we took some words, a word problem, a voting situation, and we're able to turn it into what percentage of the power. That's what this chapter has been all about. How do you take a system that's set up with some rules and find out who has the actual power? And how much of the power do they actually have? We can actually convert these to percentages if you want. It doesn't matter. You can just type in a fraction, but I'll do it nonetheless. So if you divide these on your calculator, you're going to get 0.47826. So that's like 47 or 48% of the power. This one is 0.1304, like 13% of the power. These other ones are the same. Oh, I forgot to put in F. Remember, what power does F have? 0, right? F's a dummy. F has no power, so F is 0. So basically, A has 47% of the power, 48%, just under half. And everybody else has right about 13%. Of course, F has no power. 0%, he's a dummy. So it's interesting. This is why people care about this in the real world. Because in a setup with words and rules, people want to know, in this situation, how much of the power do I really have? So in this scenario, where you got to have A plus 2 additional voting members, that gives A a lot of power. 48% of the power. B, C, D, and E each 13%. Of course, F has no power. There we go.